Um, the last time I did this, or rather yesterday, I'm saying the last time like it was ages ago. There were network issues, and I'm thinking maybe I should just move the time I do my predictions basically because there is good connection, just that it's not at work. And a lot of the time when I go live, I'm at work and the connection there is not great, right? So I'm going to try and go through. I'm going to try and go through my predictions from yesterday. Obviously, there's like a live that I already did about these particular predictions, but because of the network issues and all those type of things, um, I decided to just maybe try and do this again. And maybe I'll move my time whereby I do predictions largely because the network at work is not necessarily good. So let me just get to the fights. Um, so yeah, the first fight of the night is Charalampos Gregorio versus Chad Angelica. Um, I went with Charalampos, right, and my subscribers went with Angelica. I think it might be close, but I think but again, Charalampos is the better fighter in my opinion. Obviously, Chad, I think maybe has a little bit of experience, high level experience, but I feel like skill for skill, Charalampos is the better fighter. So I'm going off the top of my head, so maybe just to verify, you can go back to the previous live, although the network wasn't great on that one. But on this one, I picked Charalampos, and my subscribers went with Chad. On to the next one. Thiago Moises versus Mitch Ramirez. This is another tricky one, largely because I feel like both of them are good, but Ramirez is coming in on short notice, so I don't know how it's going to affect his performance. But the idea that someone cannot perform really well on short notice is crazy to me because we have people like Makdikbek or Robai who performed significantly well on I think it was 2 days notice I think to come in and fight, and he won dominantly. Um, Tom Aspinall is another fighter. So I know that you require preparation in order to compete at optimum level, but I don't know if it's a good excuse in my opinion. Hopefully I'm visible. But nonetheless, Mitch Ramirez's performance, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be considering he's coming in on short notice. But in my opinion, they are equally matched. So it could go either way. But my official pick was Ramirez, and my subscribers went with Thiago Moises. So yeah, on to the next one. Cody McCann versus Jacqueline Amoriam. Um, my subscribers and I went with Amoriam. Um, I don't know. I just feel like or rather, I think she's the. Let me check if you don't mind, guys. I don't like checking some few things while I'm live. I prefer doing like my research beforehand, but I want to check some few things. Let me see. Okay, I think they are evenly matched, right? McCann, what? Not McCann. Yeah, McCann and Amoriam. I think they are evenly matched, but I'm leaning more towards Jacqueline Amoriam. My subscribers also went with her, but it's women's MMA, so it could go either way. On to the next one, Josh Kulibao versus Danny Silva. My subscribers went with Josh Kulibao. I went with Danny Silva. This one is a little bit different because I'm confident that Danny Silva is probably going to win this fight because I feel like he's one of the most like the talented prospects on this particular card. I'm good. I'm good, man. So yeah, my subscribers went with Josh Kulibao. I went with Danny Silva. On to the next one, Jafel Filio versus Ode Osborne. Um, in terms of experience, right? I think Ode Osborne is a better fighter because of experience. But when we talk about who is more likely to win, I feel like Jafel Filio has the highest probability of winning. But I feel like what's confusing about this particular fight is the fact that Ode Osborne has a lot more experience, so it makes it a little bit challenging to actually predict accurately who will have the advantage in this particular fight. But my subscribers and I ultimately went with Jafel Filio. So yeah, on to the next one. Josiane Nunes versus Chelsea Chandler. In the comment section, there were people who were saying, "No, Chelsea Chandler is going to win," and it's possible. But I don't think I'm going to pick the girl who was running in her previous fight, basically, because the girl was running away from a fight. But apart from that, I think Nunes is the better striker. I think she's competent enough to be able to prevent takedowns. So and I think she has a little bit more power and finishing abilities. So I don't see Chandler winning this one. She doesn't seem like she's committed to actually being a good fighter. If you are running away from a fight, it means number one, you're not very good defensively as a striker, and number two, it doesn't seem like she was preparing significantly. Like it's not an adequate defensive move to actually decide to turn around and run in the middle of a fight. So it's not the main reason, but it's also a contributing factor. So my subscribers and I went with Josiane Nunes. On to the next one. Mike Davis versus Nathan Levy. Out of all the picks on this particular card, if there was any one particular pick that I felt like was a lock, this would be it. Mike Davis is probably one of the or rather, the only fighter I'm 100% sure is going to win this particular fight. I don't think Nathan Levy is, or Nathan, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't think he's that talented. I think he came from, yeah, his background is not like he wasn't fighting with great fighters in his previous organization. Before he came into the UFC, he was basically fighting cans and then fought one undefeated fighter. And because he was also undefeated, the UFC was like, oh, let's bring him in. So for me personally, I don't think he's on Mike Davis's level. And I think he's going to get pieced up. I would be shocked if he doesn't get finished. Um, Stephen Chow, hi, how are you, my man? So if my picks, my prediction, or rather my picks, my subscribers and I picked Mike Davis. On to the next one. Brian Barberina versus Gerald Mearshart. Another one that I feel like both of them are not really great. Maybe at some point in their careers they were good, but at this stage in their career they're not necessarily good. So it comes down to who's a little bit worse between the both of them. um, Not to sound mean, but they're not necessarily as good as they used to be. So it'll come down to who shows up. But in my opinion, I think Gerald Mearshart has the better or the higher probability of success as opposed to, what do you call him, Brian Barberina. I mean, the only way Brian Barberina wins is if maybe he lands a big shot, which I don't think is going to be easy because I think on the feet they are more or less evenly matched, and I think GM3 is a little bit better defensively than Brian. But obviously it's MMA, so like a big shot can land. So but our official pick, my subscribers and I, like we officially picked Gerald Mearshart. So yeah, both of us picked him. On to the next one, Kianzad versus Chiasen. Uh, yeah, it's a tricky one, but my subscribers and I went with Chiasen. because I feel like it's kind of weird when like I'm doing these breakdowns and I don't have my notes, but nonetheless, it's a recap basically, or rather, me trying to actually say my predictions because a few people were saying they didn't hear some of my predictions before. So my pick and my subscribers' picks on this particular fight is Macy Chiasson, basically, because I think even though I know a lot of people are feeling like she doesn't have a lot of experience, I don't know why. And for some reason, they are hyped on this chick. What do you call her? Kianzad. I don't necessarily think she's going to win. But yeah, my subscribers and I picked Macy Chiasen. On to the next one. Christian Rodriguez versus Isaac Dulgarian. This is the fight that I'm most excited for, more than even the main event and co-main event. Because we are going to be able to see how good Christian Rodriguez is. We're going to be able to see how good Isaac Dulgarian is. Um, I don't. Before I start to sound like I'm crapping on Christian Rodriguez, I want to highlight the fact that I'm a big fan of Christian and what he has done. I think he is one of those fighters that could potentially make a run at the belt, if he keeps on doing what he's doing, right? And he derailed two incredible prospects. But here's my issue with those particular prospects. Number one, with Raul Rosas Jr., and I think I mentioned this in my previous live, right? Raul Rosas Jr. in that particular fight was making low IQ decisions in that particular fight. I feel like he was shooting too much. He was forcing takedowns and he wasn't successful, and yet he was forcing those particular takedowns. How long have you been watching the UFC? I started watching the UFC. I think around 2019. Like every single card, like pay per view and fight night. I started watching in 2019. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, but now like I watch from prelim up until the main card. But let me proceed to what I was saying. I think Raul Rosas Jr. was making low IQ decisions. I feel like if he had decided to actually stand with Christian Rodriguez in that fight, he would have had a lot more success than trying to unsuccessfully land takedowns over and over again, which gassed him out and gave Christian the opportunity to actually win that particular fight. It was a solid win, and he proved us wrong, or rather, yeah, because I think I picked against him again when he fought Cameron Saiman, right? But even in that fight, I feel like Cameron Saiman should move to featherweight because at bantamweight, I don't feel like he has enough um, strength. Like he seems a little bit too scrawny, and his punches do not have the same impact as maybe some of the bantamweights, basically. So I can't necessarily see him being successful against some of, like for example, who can I make an example of? Like there are a lot of bantamweights that I wouldn't be able to see him compete against. So I think he should consider moving to featherweight, whereby he will have a little bit more power. He will have a little bit more strength, I guess. So that's what I have an issue with those particular wins. Those were solid wins, but I don't feel like they represent how good he is. They just represent that he is good, not elite. I don't know. That's my personal opinion. On the other hand, Dulgarian has a 100% finishing rate. In my opinion, I think Dulgarian is the better striker of the two. He's well rounded. So it's going to be interesting to see who actually becomes successful, because between the both of them, I think that's why the UFC matched them up. They're trying to see how good Christian Rodriguez is, and if Dulgarian is able to get past this dude, this kid. To be honest, Christian Rodriguez was having success in bantamweight. He has not had success at featherweight because I think he's 0-1 at featherweight. So it's going to be interesting. But in this particular fight, I went with Isaac Dulgarian. My subscribers decided to go with Christian Rodriguez. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. On to the next one. Kennedy Nzechuku versus Oven St. Preux. Um, okay. I don't know. I think Kennedy is the better fighter in this particular fight. Stand up. I think he's going to piece up. Probably it's going to be a decision, but I think Kennedy is going to win this fight. My subscribers and I both picked Kennedy Nzechuku. On to the next one. Brian Battle versus Angelosa. Here's my issue with Brian Battle, right? And I know he can scramble on the ground and actually maybe get to opponent, but he can get a submission. But I'm not a fan, especially. Okay, it's not at a high level because they're not. If I'm not mistaken, they're not ranked, right? Yeah, they're not ranked, right? So maybe he can get away with maybe scrambles, but the higher you get on the in the UFC, the more difficult it is to actually scramble from the ground. Brian Battle has a horrible takedown defense, right? And that's where Angelosa is good at. You know, he's good at taking people down, and that's probably the only way he wins this fight. So there is a world whereby even if Angelosa does not finish Brian Battle, but he maybe somehow manages to find a way to get a decision. Um, so that's what worries me. But nonetheless, I think my subscribers and I picked Brian Battle because I feel like he has more ways to win than Angelosa, and obviously he has some level of grappling, so he might be able to efficiently and properly prepare for this particular fight. I think he has the opportunity or the ability to actually knock out Angelosa, and so that's basically why I picked him. I think maybe there's a possibility he can survive on the ground. I don't think Angelosa will be able to survive on the feet with Brian Battle. So official pick is Brian Battle for my subscribers and I. Um, the main event of the evening. I think the same problem with the co-main event is the same with the main event. The only difference is that what do you call him? The only difference is that Tai Tuivasa cannot grapple the same way as Brian Battle can. So that's the biggest problem. So Tai Tuivasa gets taken down a lot, and that's what Tybura, Marcin Tybura is good at. So I don't know if Tai Tuivasa cannot prevent a takedown, then it's gonna be a problem for him. Um, But my subscribers and I went with Tai Tuivasa, but I'm just worried about his takedown defense because it's easy to take Tai Tuivasa down. So yeah, those are my official picks. If you want to hear the a more detailed breakdown, just watch the one from yesterday. Just today, I just wanted to recap my picks from yesterday because like I had network issues. I'm contemplating like changing the time I do my predictions because always when I do my predictions I have network problems, and it's because at work we don't have that good of like a network connection, you know. But I'll see you next week. But for now, deuces. I'll see you guys in about 2 days. Sharp.